Okay. Let me make sure I can hear myself nice and loud. Testing, 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 1, 2. Can I hear myself? Perfect. All right, everything's coming in. That's very good. Okay. All right, nice. First comment. Hey, Ivan. Hello there. All right, let me just get this party. Oof, nearly 1 minute to go. Where's the blue sky? All right. Going live. Going live. Going live. So to pop one little post. Promote things in blue sky. Okay. Don't need this. And we'll keep this up and we're good to go. Cool. Now I'll start recording. What is it? So I'll record this stuff and that's about it. Okay, 1 moment. Of course, all this stuff just stops. PodMic Pro and hopefully this is recording. All right, cool. Done and dusted. 3, 2, 1, and we can get going. Okay. I've got this recording right here and we're good to go. All right, awesome. Some reason when I start talking, my nose always gets itchy. I don't know if that's a thing. It is getting colder here, so yeah. Hopefully I can do a stream without coughing or canceling one because I can't talk. That hasn't happened surprisingly. After 75 odd live streams, I haven't had to cancel one last minute. Touch wood. Anyway. All right, cool. So move that across and yeah, I think we're good to go. Awesome. So let's just get into it. All right. So just quickly before we start and before we get into it, I'm trying to launch, and I've brought this up a few times. I am launching, well, I have launched a premium community over at webwash.net, which is WebWash Premium. Right now, I do have lifetime access, so it's one-time payment, 99 euros. And you get access to a bunch of premium courses, which are edited versions of these popular live streams. Not all of the live streams, but popular ones. And you can check it out or here. I am going to kind of build this out. I've got an awesome amount of ideas on what I want to do. There's a private forum where you can ask questions, have direct access to me. And if you go to courses, you can see exactly what courses are available. And I'm just slowly bringing over the popular ones. It is just lifetime deal for now. Eventually I will move it over to a subscription service, but just trying to do like a lifetime deal. And it's kind of funny because actually somebody commented today saying that I should leave all the comments to the end of the live stream, but I do actually edit out the comments that don't really help with the live stream. So these videos are edited to a certain extent. So if you want to support the channel, check this out. But don't worry, all of the videos will be available still on the YouTube channel. Anyway, just want to mention that before we begin. All right. So we might as well just jump straight into it. And if you have any questions, just throw them my way. Trust me, I'm more than happy to answer questions. Okay. And of course, as usual on Kick really does have a spam problem. That's for sure. Always when I start streaming on Kick, I always get a bot straight away telling me about more views. Anyway, all right, cool. Let's get into it. So today we're going to be talking about how to resize and handle images in Drupal. Now, the reason for that is because images are one of those assets on a website that you spend a lot of time integrating into your site. If you work with a design agency, often they want amazing hero images, slideshows. Well, no, slideshows are mostly government. For some reason, governments always want a slideshow, even though from an accessibility standpoint, they're not accessible. But, you know, show a bunch of department heads, you know, a great slideshow, and you've pretty much won the project essentially. But handling images does take a bit of practice. How do you embed them? How do you store them? How do you resize them? How do you use them? And all those little things. Now, when it comes to media management, I've talked about just general media management in Drupal, and I've got a few live streams about that. But today I just want to focus on handling images, okay? Such as the difference between a standard image field and using the media field. And then we're going to take a look at a few modules. So we're going to take a look at Image Widget Crop, Focal Point. Now, these ones are great for just adjusting the way images are cropped and also adjusting the focal point. Just so if you upload, say, a portrait of a person, you don't chop the heads off. Sometimes you just see the torso, okay? And then we're going to take a look at SVG Image. And this is for handling SVGs because over the last couple of years, SVGs have played an important part on any Drupal site because an SVG can be icons. It can also be illustrations as well. And also SVGs just look amazing because it's vector-based. So it just slides up and down amazingly. Oh, great. Awesome comment. Love focal point. Absolutely. Thanks for that from the chat. Yeah, focal point. As I mentioned, you know, this is a great one for adjusting and selecting a point. So we're going to be taking a look at that, and then we're going to finish things off by looking at responsive image module, which is part of Drupal core. And I actually posted this on LinkedIn yesterday, and you kind of forget just how powerful that module is and just what it can do. So without further ado, let's get into our Drupal site, which I've got here. And I am using a vanilla Drupal installation. Yes, I'm not using Drupal CMS. And the reason for that is because Drupal CMS comes with a lot already configured. And I want to show you how to configure these things. So Drupal CMS comes with a lot of the image, what is it? It uses focal point. It utilizes image styles, and also it utilizes SVG image as well. So it's got all of that configured, and also responsive images. So if you want to see how that is configured correctly and well, look at Drupal CMS. But in this example, we're going to be using vanilla Drupal. All right, watching from Kenya. Well, hello and welcome from Kenya. It's good to see we have an international crowd right here. All right, so let's start things off. We're just uploading an image and just seeing how images work, because that's an important thing. I just want to spend a minute or two just explaining how images work. So when you install Drupal, the standard Drupal installation, not Drupal CMS, okay, the standard installation, you come up here, and by the way, I'm using the Gin as the backend theme because that is going to be the new default theme moving forward. And I'm using admin toolbar up the top here as well. So it's looking a little different to the standard Drupal CMS. Haha, a comment. You're worldwide famous. No, I'm not. Oh, I'm not a superstar. I just enjoy Drupal. No. Uh, I just like to promote Drupal. I think Drupal just needs a bit more promotion these days. We need more influencers. I've brought this up a few times that Drupal needs those cringe type of influencers. Well, I don't want to say cringe. That's probably the wrong word, but people just need to talk more about Drupal. It's too enterprisey. You know, we need people just talking about what Drupal can do, and that's what I try and do. That's what I've been trying to do last like two years. So as I mentioned, I'm using the Gin backend theme and also admin toolbar. And if we go up here and click on add content, and then also, what is it? Add content and article, we have the standard image field. So let me just create a test image. I'll create a test article. And I do have a bunch of images right here. So let's install, I don't know which one. I've got a few here. Well, no, actually, let's start off with this thumbnail. So I'll chuck this one in, thumbnail, and I'll chuck in test article, and then hit save. Okay, done. So we've added a image to this article, and we've installed, and we've uploaded it and saved it, okay? So how does this image actually work? Well, Drupal has this concept of managed files. So two things happen right now. First of all, a file entity is created in Drupal and stored in the database, and then Drupal actually physically uploads the file into the file system and stores it on your server. So if I jump over to VS Code and go to Web, Sites, Default, Files, and what it does is that it adds in a folder, so year and month, I believe, and then you have the actual image right here, okay? So that is the physical file. Then Drupal needs to be aware of it. And we often call this managed files. And if we jump over to our terminal, and what's the URL? I want to go into phpMyAdmin. So let's go grab that. So if I jump over there, I think I've got this. Do I have it opened up? No, I don't. If I go into this beautiful phpMyAdmin, I was actually thinking about it today. This has not changed at all. And I just noticed that there is a theme here. Well, let me check out the themes. Different themes. What is it? Is there a better look and feel? Oh, I had that ready for a rant to say how phpMyAdmin hasn't really changed, and then I noticed that there's a theme here. Look at this. Looks pretty nice, this one. Okay, let's stick with Bootstrap. I love me a bit of Bootstrap. All right, let's go into here, and we'll search for, where is it? Managed, file managed. And you can see here that we've got this file managed table, and if we edit this row, it stores a UUID, which is fair enough. And then you have the actual path. You have public. So Drupal has this concept of file schemas. If it's a public schema, that means that it is available to the public, and anything within public colon is then from the files directory. So then you can see that 2025-10 matches 2025-10 / and then the actual file name. So that is how files are managed and just uploaded into Drupal, okay? Pretty simple. And I just wanted to cover that because now, if we go to content and you go to files, you will see the actual file right here. So Drupal's aware of it. It knows that the file is there. But what if you want to reuse this image in another section, or you want to have one copy of it and you want to reuse it? Yes, you can re-upload it, but then you're going to have duplicates. And that's not really a great way of saving money on hosting and also managing your content, because at the end of the day, this is a content management system. Luckily for us, Drupal has the media module and also media library module. And we can install that by going to extend and searching for media, and you should see media and media library. Now, media and media library are not installed by default on the standard Drupal. In Drupal CMS, it is installed and configured. Now, if you're just joining me and you're like, what is Drupal CMS and what is Drupal? I thought Drupal is a CMS. Okay, this is a bit confusing. There's now two flavors of Drupal. You have Drupal Core, which is pretty much just standard Drupal, and then you install it using the standard installation profile. And then you have Drupal CMS, which comes with an opinionated configuration. So a lot of stuff is installed and it comes with contributed modules. Now, that is a new thing. Drupal CMS was what released at the beginning of the year, I believe. Was it? Oh, anyway, it feels like a blur this whole year. But in my live streams, I've always defaulted to using Drupal CMS because it just offers a lot more out of the box. But for this live stream, I wanted to use Drupal Core because there's a lot of configuration I want to show you. So standard Drupal does not come with media and media library installed, but you should be using it by default. No matter what, there is no need to attach an image field to a content type. Always use it through a media entity. Now, I can guarantee somebody's going to come up with a good reason why you should use it. Sometimes you may want to use it, but 9 times out of 10, use media and media library. So let's go ahead and install it. And what we can do is then, once that's installed, you go to content and you should see media. If you can't see media, then clear the cache. You should be able to flush it. And essentially, we can click on add media. And then we have these media types. Now, media, I'm going to say the word media a lot, so apologies for that. Media isn't just about images. It's about any type of assets. So that can be audio, document, image. I'm just reading off these, remote videos, or actual local videos. You can then create your own media type. Just like a content type, they're just fieldable entities, but they do have a bit of magic around the media source, I believe, where it gives Drupal a bit of metadata, a bit of logic on how to handle that type of media. So we're going to focus on image because, as I mentioned before, I've covered media management. Just look for the videos under live on the YouTube channel. So here we have a single field and we have now an image field. So we still use an image field, but the trick is where that image field is actually stored. Okay, because what we can do now is let's go and upload. I did do some great design. Let me upload this one. This is from Canva. I needed specifically these type of these type of images. Now, this actually reminds me from one of the robots from Futurama. Anyway, so move that across. Robot 2, and then we can go ahead and save it, okay? So now at this point, we have created a media asset and we've uploaded an image. And the image is uploaded and handled the same way. But the difference is the image field is on the media asset. And then we use that media asset as our actual de facto image. And then we can reference that media multiple ways through like an entity reference field. So what we can do now is let's go to content types and article. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this image field. So let's just get rid of it. And now what we're going to do is create a media field, and we'll call this one featured. And we'll select image. And let's fix this up so it moves, let's move this to the top. And under manage display, we're going to configure our formatters. Essentially, a formatter is how the field value gets rendered in. And in this case, it's the image. And we'll set a thumbnail. Let's resize it to 480 by 480. Okay. And we're done. Okay. So now what we can do is, remember, we have our thumbnail right here, our image. And if we go to content, test article, okay, we see nothing because we removed the field. But instead, we click on Edit, and now we've got this Add Media, and we get this nice little pop-up. So now we have a media library. Now, if you don't see this pop-up, make sure you install the media library module. Very important. You can install just the media, but you need to install media library and then select under Manage Form Display, you want to select media library. Okay, very important to get that nice little pop-up. Because just for people who don't know about the field system in Drupal, from Manage Fields, this is where you specify the field and the field type. Then from the Manage Form Display, this is where you configure the widgets. So this is the element that you use to enter data into the field. Then on the Manage Display is how that data is then rendered to the end user. So that's important. Okay. So let's click on Add Media, and you can imagine a whole library of images, and you have all your images here, and you can come along, search for them, and select them, and then click on Insert, click on Save, and now you've got this nice little image, and it's resized to 400 by, no, I think it's just resized 480 by 480, but I don't think the height is cropped. Anyway, we're gonna muck around with that. Okay, all right. So that is kind of like an explanation of how to use the media field, because now what we can do, okay, is we can create another article, and reference the same featured image. And we've only uploaded this image once, and that's it. And that's the benefit of using media. So what I've done, just to kind of illustrate it, here I've got this great illustration. No, this is actually a terrible illustration, but it's just Google Slides. So essentially, we have an image field, which references a file, and then the file entity references the actual image file. It's a bit confusing when I use file most of the time, okay? So that's how we have this, that's how we had it set up originally with the image field. Then we moved over to this setup, okay, where you have a media field referencing the image media. And that's it. So the content type just cares about the media asset that it's referencing. But then you have the image field, which on the media type, referencing the file entity, referencing then the actual physical file. So we're just moving the location of the image field. And then of course, this is the benefit of it. You can have just one media be used multiple times. Oh, sometimes I just amaze myself at my illustration skills here. Actually, Google Slides is actually great for mocking up things, believe it or not. I've used it to mock up basic UI. I'll be curious if I can mock up a basic UI and then give it to Claude or something, or one of the AIs, and say, here, build me a mock-up using Tailwind or something. That might be a good one. And then we build a Drupal site from that. There you go. Got it. We can do that. We can start off in Google Slides, get mock-ups designed using Tailwind, and then we implement that using Drupal. Oh, this is a great comment. Oh, that's an awesome comment. Walking 1 hour to work, coding eight hours of Drupal, walking 1 hour back home, live streaming, sleeping 8 hours, thinking about Drupal. Well, if you're honestly, it is awesome that you're coding 8 hours of Drupal. I've been doing a lot of site building lately, but that is true. Sometimes I do think I just think too much about Drupal. But then I don't know. I feel like Drupal now utilizes a lot of other libraries within it. So I feel like you're still learning a lot of other things. Maybe Drupal 6 and 7, not so much, but I think Drupal 8 and above now, and also Drupal 11 with, what is it, HTMX is moving to core. Well, it is in core, so you can utilize a lot of front-end tech. And Generally these days, you do utilize a lot of JavaScripty stuff in Drupal. And then also when you want to host a Drupal site, you need to learn how to run a server essentially. Yeah. So it's great to have you here. It's great to have you here. Oh, now Twitch is also sending me bots as well. Bot messages. Oh, I'll just block you. Okay. So as you can see, we're utilizing media field to then reference the media, and then that one media can be used multiple times. Okay. Now, the other thing we can do is we can utilize media and media library in CKEditor. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's go to configuration, text formats. And for this, you need the media library module installed. And let's configure basic HTML. Now, the configuration on your site is going to vary. Every single site has their text formats configured in a specific way. So you're going to have to test things out, okay? But what you should see is this button right here called Drupal Media. If you don't see it, make sure you install Media Library and simply move that across over to the active toolbar. And you want to go and enable embed media. That's the first thing you want to do. And then scroll down and let's check the image. Okay. We just want to allow that. All right. So now what we can do is let's go back here. And what I want to do is edit this, and I'll chuck in some test content. I really should have some test data available. And if we put our cursor in there, click on this little pop-up right here, we can embed, okay, an asset straight away, okay? We can embed the same asset because remember, it's a media asset. It can be embedded in, it doesn't matter. The other thing we can do is we can click on that, scroll up, and we can upload another image. So let me go ahead and upload another image. Let me have a look. Let me increase these. There we go. I do like this one. This is actually one of my photos from a aviation museum in Australia. All right. Plain. And we can select that one. And we can now embed this in. We can center it, we can align it, we can do whatever we want with it. And then we can save it. And then you can see that our image has been embedded in. And best of all, if we go to media and refresh, you can see that our media asset is right here, and we can just reuse it over and over again. So to wrap everything up, no, I'm not done yet, but just to wrap up this section, use media. Okay, use the media and media library module no matter what. It should be on by default. Drupal CMS has it on by default, and I do believe one day Drupal core will have it on by default. So you want to use it no matter what, because it just makes life 1,000 times easier. But there are some drawbacks right now, which I want to mention. Not with media, but just with this site in general. What if you want to select different sizes of your image? How do you handle that? Well, this is where image styles play an important part. So if we go to configuration, and you'll see here image styles, we have these standard styles. Now, a style, what is a style? It used to be called image cache, whichever way you pronounce it, back in the day. And I believe it was even, let me check that. Drupal image cache, whatever you want to, whichever way you want to implement it. Yeah. When was the last version? It was Drupal 6. That's right. And then I think Drupal 7 got it in core. Whoa, still 5,000 websites using it. Whoa. That is nuts. It's still well, no. At its peak, at its peak. Even in back then, Drupal 6, yeah. All right, got another hello in YouTube. Thanks. Your videos made me love Drupal. Oh, thank you. As I hated it when I first started. always love to hear people's Drupal origin story. Well, I think any type of platform. Funny enough, I was playing around with another CMS today. Payday CMS, which is a node. Was it Payload? No, Payload. Sorry, not Payday. Payload CMS, which is a similar CMS to Drupal, but just written in Node and has I think like a Next.js. And I was looking through it and I was playing around with it and I just didn't get it. But you just need to spend more time with it, unfortunately. You need to spend more time with it. Okay. Oh no, so we have another question here. So, all right. Did you already use media entity usage? I think I've used, I think, what is it, media usage? There is, I think, a media usage module that you can use, I believe. I have used that one in the past. I think it's media usage. Drupal, not that media usage. Drupal media, oh no, it's media entity usage. Yeah, that's it. Is it that one? No, entity usage. Usage Drupal. I've used entity usage in the past. Yeah, that one's the most up to date. I've used this one in the past. Yeah, 50,000. So take a look at that. All right, another one. Okay, I'll try to add a category field into the pop-up, but failed terribly. Broke pop-up. Is there a way to add a filter to the media pop-up? That is a good question. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if that's in views. Maybe if that's a thing in views. But yeah, I couldn't answer that off the top of my head without actually doing a bit of site building. All right. So where were we? All right, back to image styles. Yes. As I mentioned, back in the day, it used to be called Image Cache. Then in Drupal 7, I believe, it was Image Styles. Then, yeah, it's been Image Styles ever since. So essentially what you can do is you can provide these kind of defaults and pass an image through these styles. And you can call these styles whatever you want. Okay, you can call it whatever you want. But then if you click on edits, you can then adjust and add these effects to it. So you can convert things. You can also crop, desaturate, resize, rotate, scale, and depending on what modules you install, you can do whatever you want with it as well. You can install extra ones. So this is how you kind of resize things. But to utilize these styles, what you need to do is then create a image style and then create a view mode. Because a view mode allows you to contextually display field formatters. And so what you essentially have is a media entity in different view modes. Okay, so what we're going to do is let's go ahead and create two view modes, one called portrait and one called square. So I'll go to here. No, I'll start that again. I'll go to display modes, view modes. That's the one I want. And click on media, and I'll call this one portrait. And call this one square. Well, no, not that one. Where is it? Down here, down here. And I'll select image, and I'll call this one square. So now what we can do is if we come along in here, we will see portrait and square. However, what we now need to do is if we click on this cogwheel, we can now select an actual view mode. Sorry, an image style. This is where it gets a bit confusing, okay? Because you're going to have view modes and all that type of stuff. Now we need to create the same, and you can call it the same thing, but you can call it, if you want to change the name, you can call it to whatever you want. But now we're going to have to create an image style, okay? So let's go ahead and we'll call this one, again, portrait. And let's add in the effects. What is it going to be? Scale and crop. So portrait's going to be, what is it? 16, no, 9 by 16. So that is 1080 by 1920. Well, yes, focal point is very useful. Absolutely. It's a very useful. Yeah, we're going to be covering focal point. And the other one I recommend you do just to kind of save up on sizes is to select this convert, and we'll use we'll just, yeah, we will convert it, but we'll just add a fallback, okay? So you want it to actually convert it to really trim down the sizes of the images, because trust me, if you work with editors, they upload huge images, like 2 or 3 meg I've dealt with. All right, let's save that. And now let's go back to image styles, click on add. And this one we're going to call square. Scale and crop. What is this one going to be? 500 by 500 because it's going to be a square. And let's convert it. Okay. Now, the order plays an important part as well. So if for some reason you want to, first of all, scale by width and then by height, you may not want to do the whole scale and crop straight away. You may want to first adjust it by height, and then you may want to desaturate it or saturate it or resize. And so the order plays an important part when it comes to the effect. All right, so now what we can do is come back into here. Let's refresh square. So now we're on the view mode, okay, of the image media type. And we can then select, we'll select square for that. Come to portrait, and we'll select portrait. Let me just confirm that. That's all working. See, it's square and portrait. And if we go into text format as editors, basic, now what we can do is scroll all the way down and let's enable, so here, view mode selectable in edit media dialog. Let's select portrait and square and scroll up, and under media, again, very important, allow the user to override, and then scroll down, all right? And now let's pick this tab, for example. Go to content. We have our image right there. But if we click on this, you can see here, right down at the bottom, we have default, or we have portrait. You can just see it right down there, or square, okay? So we can close that. Let's remove that. Click on and select another image. And now you can see above here, we have default, we have portrait, which is like a big size. And then we have square. And you can adjust it like so. And there you go. So at this point, we are, we're slowly building our functionality, and we've added the ability to adjust the sizes of the actual images. Oh, okay, great. Yeah, thanks for the tip. Convert to AVI, yeah, AVIF. Yeah, I don't know if I think that's that must have been moved into core just a few versions ago because it's pretty recent. I think it was available as a contrib module. But yeah, the AVIF, that really compresses the sizes down. Like it compresses it a lot and it really does save in space. So I'd highly recommend to always just chuck it in at the end. One thing I would recommend also, just a little top tip, if you come along in here, you can essentially display, select a none, and then it'll display the original image. Never ever do that. And the reason for that is because you always want to process and resize the images when you display it on your site. Because I've had situations in the past where editors would upload a 30 meg TIFF file. Now, you could argue and say, well, they shouldn't have been allowed to upload a TIFF file. You should only allow, PNGs or GIFs. Fair enough, or like JPEGs. Fair enough. But in this case, we had a problem where one page would just take ages to download on mobile devices. And we realized that one of the hero images, because the hero images look all the same, they look amazing. But one of the hero images was a TIFF file, and it was like so tight, like was it TIFF, and it ended up being 30 meg. But that's because whoever worked on the site just selected original image. And so the image wasn't resized at all. Whereas if you resize it, and you always resize, even if you have an image style which is 5,000 by 2,000 pixels, make sure you resize it. So no matter what, at least all your images, even if they are half a meg, they're only ever going to be as big as half a meg. So always resize it. And you can also argue that by resizing it, you process it, and you can potentially, if there's any viruses in the image as well, I've heard arguments about that if you do like antivirus on your images as well, at least you're passing that through a processor and you're not just blatantly displaying the original. So if the original does have a virus, other people won't get it, things like that. But yeah, you want to always just resize the images no matter what, just to save space, just so that you can save yourself the headache of trying to debug why one page is like 100 meg. But why is one page massive? Or no, you pick it up where, what was it? There was also an issue, this was for another site, where they picked up in the, I think it was CloudFront. They were using CloudFront, and they were paying a lot for bandwidth, because this was a pretty large website and they were paying a lot for bandwidth. And they realized that one web page was utilizing so much bandwidth, and that was because there was an image there that was a couple meg. So yeah, be aware of that. All right. So you always want to make sure you pass in you want to pass and select an image style. But when you utilize image styles, often you would utilize them with a view mode. And the view mode will often be called the same as the image style. Okay? Because what we can also do now is, if we go to our content type, so where is it? Let's go to our content type. And we go to default. And instead of displaying, large, we can select the same. We can select our portrait or square. Okay? And we can utilize that. Well, technically, okay, you can get away from not having to create a view mode, because there is this special formatter called thumbnail. So remember, this featured image references a media entity, and it's smart enough to know that, yep, it is a media. Yes, it's a media entity. And then you can just grab the thumbnail and then resize that thumbnail, okay? Because media, believe it or not, like the media system has this concept of a thumbnail. So a thumbnail for images is just the image. A thumbnail for remote video is the actual thumbnail of the video. And then things get a bit sketchy with like the thumbnail of a of a document, because often you want the first page of a PDF. And that's where you can actually set that stuff up. But yeah, the media module, you can get away from not using view modes, but 9 times out of 10, you want to select your view mode and then come along in here and say select portrait, and then at least you know the portrait has been configured. Where is it? It's been configured to use the portrait image style. Now, setting all this stuff up is great, but what if you want a bit more control over what part of the image is being cropped? Well, we have two modules, and the first module we're going to take a look at is called Image Widget Crop. Now, this one allows you to actually select which part of the image to actually crop, okay? And setting it up is fairly straightforward. So just go ahead and download the latest version. So I've already gone ahead and done that. And what I'm going to do is go into Extend and search for Image Widget Crop. It is going to download a crop API. That's okay. Just install that. It is required. And what we need to do is we need to, first of all, create a crop type. Drupal loves to create these, enter in something and then type, like a media type. Vocabulary, well, no, with taxonomy, it's called a vocabulary. Then you have content types, comment types, all these types. It makes sense. All right, let's create a crop type. And this one let's call this one portrait as well. And we're going to give it a ratio. So let's call it 9:16. So no matter what, the ratio is going to stay the same. And you can put in a soft limit and a hard limit. So a soft limit allows you to resize it, and then it will tell you once you reach the soft limit. The hard limit doesn't allow you to move it at all. But we'll leave this as it is. And the next one we'll select and create is called square. And this is going to be a 1:1, so it's a proper square of our ratio. And let's make it 500 by 500 width and height. And that's it, okay? So we've only done one part of it. Now what we need to do is adjust our actual image styles. So let's go back into configuration, image styles, and let's click on portrait. And now what we need to do is select manual crop. Because what's going to happen is is this portrait? Yeah, it is. So we want to select our crop type, which is portrait. And you want to move that above, very important, because what's going to happen is this manual crop is going to grab what's been selected in the widget and then pass it then to the next effect, which is scale and crop, and then convert it. And we need to do the same for square as well. So you have to create a crop type and add it to an image style, very important. So where is that manual crop? Select square. And we're done. All right, cool. Done. All right, awesome. Now, let me just double check that. Yes, all right, good. All right. Now what we can do is go into our media. Let's go to manage form display, and you should select and see image widget crop. Select that widget, very important. And then click on the cogwheel. And we'll select a few crop types. Now, you want to update that and then go back into it, because then you have your required. And then you can select your required crops, your crop types. And you can adjust a few things here. Let's adjust this to 200 by 200, 220 by 220. And click on update. Okay. So now what we can do is if we go into content, media, and let's go into our media type, we now get this crop image. So we get all of our available crop types. So we have portrait, which is required. And what we can do is we can resize it and say, well, actually, I want this 9 by 16, because that's what I selected, to be right here. Okay. The front, the nose of the plane, right there, right? And sometimes you do need to click out for it to save the settings. Then for square, we can resize that and be like, and you'll see how the soft limit has been reached. That's where I set it. So the soft limit is a great way of like telling the user, do not go lower than say 500. And let's now do it on the engine. There we go. Let's do that right there. There we go. Look at that. And just you want to click out of it. All right, perfect. Got that one and got that one. Now we click on save. And I always like to go back. You can see that the crop has been successfully added, but you just want to sometimes go and check because I've had some times where it just doesn't set it. All right. Sometimes if it's not setting it, if you just do a reset crop and then click away from it, I think there might be a bit of JavaScript that has like an on click, but you need to step away, or like a blur event for it to set the change. Okay. So now we've done that. If we go into our content, well, you're going to see that square was selected, and straight away you can see that our image has been resized. So we can come along in here and we can see our image has been resized. If we now switch it to portrait, it's just the front as well. And we can fully control that. And best of all, you can now go ahead and make that change once on the image, and it's going to propagate across everywhere where that media image is used. All right, you may have to clear the cache probably. You will have to clear the cache for sure. And if you're using a CDN, you may have to also purge your, the edge nodes. But it works, okay? And it works very well. This functionality is pretty cool. Like in the past, I've worked on a pretty big government website where we utilized Focal, I think it was Image Widget Crop. And we had about 12 different sizes. Believe it or not, 12 different crop types. We had a crop type for like landscape, portrait, and then landscape 2x, portrait 2x, kind of like the high pixel version. This was back when Retina screens just started to come out. Oh no, it was 2016. So Retina screen, but to be fair, I got my first Retina MacBook Pro in 2012. So yeah, it was like 4 years later. Okay, and we had about 12 different crop types. It was full on, because every single time you upload an image, you have to then adjust the crop and like upload this much and then be like, oh no, I want it to be like this and this. But on this website, yeah, I mean, every time, even though it was a government website, they never like to flush the CDN because they were using CloudFront, and CloudFront is on AWS, and I think you need to pay. There's also a usage charge to invalidate and purge the cache. And so whenever an editor made a change to one of these images, it's like, oh, we need to clear the cache on these pages. Like, okay. So yeah, that was a fun little thing. So when it comes to selecting this, okay, Image Widget Crop gives you a lot of flexibility, okay? But as I mentioned, sometimes it can be a little tedious going through individual crop types, okay? And then adjusting it and selecting it and selecting every little part. There is another module called Focal Point. And that allows you to set the focal point of the image once, and then automatically the portrait or square image style will simply be cropped around that. Now, for your website, you may not want that functionality. You may want absolute control where you're like, okay, well, no, for portrait, we want to have this part of the image. For square and landscape, we want it to have this part of the image. Well, in that case, you're going to have to use Image Widget Crop. But if you're more than happy to say, well, actually, no, we're just going to have one focal point for that one image and everything just automatically gets cropped around that, well then, focal point is the module for you. Now, before you ask, and before I get all the comments about can you use both of them at the same time? No, you can't, because you need to switch the widget for it. So you need to use a different image widget. So you can't have both. You can have both running on the website, but you can't have both modules cropping. I'm just trying to think. You can't set something up to have a image widget crop focal point. I was trying to come up with a funny name. I don't know. So let's now go ahead and install this module. Installing it is pretty straightforward. All you need to do is just download it. And let's go ahead and do that ourselves. Let's go to Extend, Focal Point, and Install. And you can have Focal Point and Image Widget Crop installed, but you just can't use it on the same media type at the same time, or the same image field at the same time. And what we need to do now is we do need to adjust our image styles. So instead of manual crop, let's get rid of that. Let's put in focal point scale and crop. So 1920, wait, oh no, sorry, this is square. Ugh, what is that? 500 by 500? Oh, there's a comment here on YouTube. Yeah, same talks with me with CloudFront and Purge. Really, yeah. It's baffling how much time I've spent debugging, just caching issues with CloudFront. And just the conversation, and mind you, this was for a government website, and they had the money. I don't want to say just because they're government, they should spend money. Like, if you're government, you still want to save money as much as you can. But they would, yeah, I would consistently have discussions about them not wanting to purge the cache because it costs a bit of money. And it's like, well, you go talk to the editor why their images aren't updating on this particular page because you don't want to purge the cache on just that particular page. But when you're dealing with CDNs, like there's so many levels of caching when it comes to Drupal. You have your CDN cache. Then you might have your varnish cache, which is a reverse proxy cache. Then you have Drupal's cache. Then you have the render cache. Then you have the tweak cache. Then you have your browser cache. It's too much. It's too much. All right, let's now move these up. Now, you could probably get rid of this scale and crop. We're just going to leave it in there. It's okay. Just going to crop it again. It doesn't really matter. But essentially here, what's going to happen is whatever's been selected by focal point it's then going to do a scale and crop. And if we go here, go to portrait, let's remove that one and select scale and crop. What is it? 1080, 1920. All right. Let's move that to the top and we're done. And now what we need to do is let's go to our media type. And this time we select image focal point. And you want to often just upload, make this a little bit bigger so it's easier to select. And now what we need to do is go to our media. And we do get a different, well, let's fix this up actually. Let's fix that up because we don't have the full image. Let's fix that up. Media. No, it's not that one. Is it this one? Wait. Where am I? What am I looking at? Am I looking at the wrong one? All right, so media, yep, focal point. Okay, yeah, that's it. That's what I want to select. No. I want to select that one. Okay. Now come on in here. That's better. So if we click on preview, you can see now this little handle is right in the middle. If we click on preview, it's going to crop around that actual little handle, okay? If we close this and we move, say this to the nose, click on preview, you can see everything's now been scaled and cropped around that. If we move it over to the engine, it's been cropped around that. But compared to using Image Widget Crop, we can't have one specific cropped area for the portrait and one for square. So just be aware of that, okay? All right, so now if we save that and we go to our test page, we should see everything resizing. There you go. You can see it's been resized there, which is great. And if we select, where is it? Right down at the bottom, select square, it's been resized around that particular area. So when it comes to selecting your crops and your crop types and cropping images in specific ways, you do have a lot of power when it comes to using Image Widget Crop and also focal point. Trust me, back in Drupal 7 days, was it Drupal 7? Yeah. You had none of this stuff. This really came into its own. Well, you did have the media module, but I mean, it wasn't 100%. Well, yeah, this is a Drupal 7 version. It did kind of work, but I think it was with Drupal 8. That's where Drupal got some pretty good media handling. So at this point, we have looked at how images are handled using the media module and then cropping images using Image Widget Crop and focal point. Let's take a look now at handling SVG images, because as I mentioned, SVGs are used a lot now on websites for logos, for illustrations, for icons, and just being able to often embed SVGs is pretty important. So luckily for us, there is a module called SVG Image, and Drupal CMS comes with this module already installed. And it doesn't actually do anything when you install it. You just install it and it overrides the existing standard image field. So we don't have to change existing image fields. That's a great feature, and you can essentially just install it and you're good to go. But it's best to create a separate media type for it. So if you want to learn more about it, just head over to drupal.org/project/svg_image. Download the correct version. You want to download the one for Drupal 11. And let's go to extend, and I'll search for SVG and install it. And now what we can do is let's go ahead and create a new media type. And we'll call this one SVG Image. And from the media source, you want to select image. And we will create a new field. And then click on Save and Manage Fields. Then edit the image field. And most importantly, you need to change this allowed files file extensions and just add in SVG. And click on Save Settings, or you won't be able to upload SVG files. Now, before we move on to other parts of using the SVG file, we need to create two view modes. Again, we need to create view modes. It's all about the view modes. So let's go to display modes, view modes. I'll go down to media and I'll create one called small Oh no, add this to SVG. And then medium. All right, so we've done that. Then go to manage display. Oh, here we go, got it all here. And what we can do is if we click on media, and the image, you want to click on the cogwheel. And in this case, you want to select original image because it is a vector image, okay? I did mention with standard images that you want to resize them, but with vectors, you want to get the original, and we'll add a width of just 600. So this is the medium. Then make sure you have render SVG as image. Then under small, what do I put as small? 200. And then under media library, that's a useful one. I'll put this one as 200 as well. And click on save. Ah, great comment. Yeah, Drupal was better because we had the feeling to stay young. Well, yeah, now we see 7, 8. Well, I remember using Drupal 4.5, 4.6, 4.7. Yeah. I still think when it comes to Drupal versions, I think Drupal 6 was the version of Drupal that had a lot of modules that when you install it, you just got a product essentially out of the box. Where a lot of modules now for Drupal, they're more like frameworks and libraries or like toolkits that help you build things, which is great, gives you a lot of flexibility, but you need to understand how they work. But so far, I think Drupal 11 is pretty good, okay? Where it's going is pretty good. All right, so we've set all this stuff up. Now let's go ahead and embed an SVG into CKEditor. So to do that, what we need to do is go to Configuration, Text Formats and Editors, and we need to select SVG Image, and let's also select Small and Medium. And if we go to our content page, let's get rid of that one. And we can select SVG, which is great. And we can upload. Where is an SVG? So here I've got this great SVG, the Drupal icon, Drupalicon, and we can save that. And we can insert. And now we've got default, but then we have medium, then we've got small. And you can also resize it as well. Look at that. And you can see like vector looks amazing, like just nice and crisp. Nice and crisp. It's also very little when it comes to sizes as well, because it's all just code. You can see that just handling vector images is so much easier with SVG image. And you can do the same for featured image. Just point to your media asset and you're done. And you can see here that we have our actual vector SVG file. And if we go to files, you can see again, it's been handled just like a standard image. So if you want to handle SVG images, then I'd highly recommend that you use this module. I've used it on a lot of websites. Like it is one of those modules that it is when it comes to, yeah, it's one of my go-to modules that are always install. Okay. So as I mentioned, if you want to use SVG files in your Drupal site, look at using the module, which is called SVG Image. All right. Now let's finish things off by taking a look at responsive images and how to handle responsive images in Drupal. Now, luckily for us, Drupal has a module which is called responsive image. So if we go to extend and search for image, you will get responsive image. Let's go ahead and install that. And what we're going to do is if we go to configuration, we will get this new option, which is called responsive image styles. Remember, we had image styles. Now we have responsive image styles. So let's click on that. And we have narrow and wide. But if we click on add new responsive image style, we do get this breakpoint group. And you do have a few of these options. Now you might be thinking, what are these breakpoint groups? Okay. Well, you'll see that we do have one for Olivero, which is our front-end theme. If I jump over to the code, let me close that and then go to core themes and click on the theme, we will see this breakpoints.yaml. This is where you define your actual breakpoints for your theme, and that is a breakpoint group. So this is very important that you select the correct breakpoints. And what we're going to do is all we need to do now is in the large, medium, and small, we are going to select a specific image style for that media query, essentially. And that's where we can configure functionality so that if you do come on a mobile device and your screen is only, say, 500 pixels, you will see from, what is it? Well, if it's above 500 pixels and below 700, you will then see the small. If it's above 700 but below 1,000, you will see the medium. And this also means that mobile devices won't have to download one huge image. And this is very important. You save a lot more on bandwidth costs as well. So to start things off, we need to create 4 new image styles. Yes, believe it or not. Not responsive image styles, but just 4 image styles. So let's go to configuration. And we're going to do just a bit of site building. So the first one's going to be 1300 by 520. And I'll just go and select. We can still use the scale and crop focal point. That is fine. And what would that be? 520. And let's put in the convert. Okay. All right, let me just make sure that's all correct. Yes, that is. All right, next one. Next one is called, what is this one? 1,000 by, no. 1,000 by 400. It's hard to see because the mic's in the way of my keyboard. Yeah, 1,000 by 400, there we go. Image widget crop, there we go. And then 400. Okay. Slowly getting there. Then image styles again. This one's 704 by 396. There we go. Need a bit of hold music. I should start playing music on here. Well, no, then I'll be demonetized for sure of copyright infringements. And there we go. Last but definitely not least, 512 by 280. And let's put in, again, focal point scale and crop, because that's all just going to stay there, that functionality. And we'll put this last one in. Okay, we're done. Now, these sizes I did get from Drupal CMS because they were an actual good set of sizes. All right, so we've done all of this. All right, now let's go back to our image, responsive images. Click on add. You want to select your theme. Call this one featured. And the fallback will be the lowest. And small will be 704. Medium will be 1000 and large will be 1300. Okay. And we're done? Perfect. Now what we need to do is create another view mode. How many view modes do you want? Yes. Let's create another one. Trust me, I've worked on sites that have like 20 different view modes. It's not uncommon. And you want to go into image, manage display, click on featured. And now what you can do is select responsive image. And you want to go ahead and select featured. Okay. So just remember that. Okay. So there's multiple levels of inception here, kind of like the movie, where it's just like inside. So we have an image which goes through a media type. Then the image gets processed through responsive image formatter, which is then pulling up the image styles. And then it goes through the field on the content type. So now we need to configure the content type. Don't worry if you find it confusing about sometimes, like I've had situations where I've had to debug, where I've spent hours debugging a problem and I realized that the wrong view mode was selected on a paragraph that was like 3 entities deep into another paragraph and another paragraph and another paragraph. It's just, entity references and view modes. But to be fair, if you ever use a CMS that doesn't have this functionality, you're thinking to yourself, but Drupal has it. Why doesn't this CMS have this functionality? It's a very powerful functionality. But you know the saying, with great power comes great responsibility. Unfortunately, Drupal's flexible, but when you have to debug something, you're gonna have to debug something. Drupal's flexible, but when you have to debug something, you're gonna have to use 20 cans of Mortine. I don't know if is that an Australian thing? Is Mortine worldwide? That's like the bug spray, anyway, or an industrial level pesticide or something. I don't know. All right, where was I? Click on here. Okay, so now on the article content type. Okay, now before we do that, actually, let me just quickly leave that for now. Let's go to our test page. Let's fix this up. All right, well, that's fine. What I want to do is add in this one. All right. Okay, so I'll show you this. Let's take a note of, give me one moment. All right, because this is what I want to show you. All right, so we have we've got the actual, where is it here? So here is the markup right now. Before we switch it over to responsive images, we have a single image field and it's showing up this resized image, okay? That's fine, okay? That's perfectly fine. But you can see, okay, it's just a single image field, all right? Now, I want to duplicate that. And now if we switch this over to featured, because the featured view mode is on the media image is using responsive images, this should now show us a resized version. Perfect, okay? Good, good, good. And if we inspect, what do you think are we going to see? What do you think is going to be visible? Well, we're going to see the HTML5, I believe, the picture element. And you can see the different sizes, the source element for all the different breakpoints. And you can see just here, if I zoom in a bit more, don't want to zoom in too much, but you can see, and this is why sometimes it's good to have the view mode. Well, no, the actual, what is it? The sizes in the actual image style. Here you can see the actual sizes straight away. You can see that it's actually picking up the different view modes. So now what's going to happen is if we open this up in incognito and go to image and refresh, still hard refresh. All right. Now let me move that to the left hand. So yeah, let me move that over there. It's easier. All right. Let's refresh. We have the actual image right here. But most importantly, it is, well, let me do a hard refresh. So here is our first image. And it is, let me hover over that. That is 1000 by 400. So that's not even the full size one, but it's only 44 kilobytes. If we resize it, look what's going to happen. Well, let's just clear that. If we resize it, there you go. It's now downloaded the other version. If I hover over that, what is that one? That is a 700, the 704 by 396 version. And if we keep zooming, keep resizing it down, it's going to then pull in, there you go, the 24, it's 24 KB. So that must be the smallest one, which is 512. So you can kind of see the real benefit here of using responsive images, because it's only downloading the one that is required for your screen. And then if we resize this all the way back up, you'll see it's going to straight away pull in all of them. Look at it all. Look at them all, okay? And then it's the same thing. If we clear that, well, let me bring this up, show this another way. Let me resize that and go, what is it, responsive? And you can kind of see that it's all just, no, see straight away, all of these are being downloaded. And that is all thanks to the responsive image module. And that was very easy to set up. Like, yes, there's a bit of configuration, and you have to make sure that your image, that you create your view modes, your image styles, your responsive image styles, and make sure that your theme has breakpoint groups, and make sure that your content type is pointing to the correct view mode. Actually, no, scrap that. There's a lot of configuration. No, I'm joking. See, once you understand how Drupal works, well, that's such an obvious statement. Of course, once you understand how something works, you understand how it works. Like, duh. I mean, it's an obvious statement. It's kind of like the saying, you always find, you always find something at the last place you look, because of course that's the last place you look, because that's where you find it. But sometimes, yeah, Drupal can be a bit annoying, where it's like so much configuration. But if you want to learn all of this stuff and really see it in action, take a look at Drupal CMS, because this Drupal CMS comes with a lot of this stuff already configured. And that's one of the benefits of Drupal CMS, I believe. Like, you install it and it comes with all of these modules, and it's a great way to learn how to build a Drupal site. That's one thing a lot of people, I think, may not realize, especially with a lot of these recipe stuff and recipe functionality, like this recipes. For people who don't know, a recipe is essentially kind of like a starter kit for Drupal. It's similar to what distributions were, but it's more like a starter kit. And it's going to be a great way just to learn things, because if you don't know enough about Drupal, how do you know that you need to download Image Widget Crop, or you need to download Focal Point, or you need to download SVG Image and stuff like that. So yeah, if you want to learn Drupal, check out Drupal CMS. All right. Oh, that's a good comment. Yeah, checking network usage. Can we compare? Oh, that's a good question without the compression. Well, let's do a quick check of that. Let me do a quick check. So what is that? Images. Oh wait, that's the wrong image. That's the wrong site. Oh. All right, let's do that. All right, so you can kind of see here. Am I in the way? No, I'm not. Not now. Cool. All right. All right, you can kind of see that you're looking at probably, what is it? The large one, 1,000 pixels is 44 KB. Okay, so 44 kilobytes. Let's just duplicate this. So I've got the same one, 44. And now if let's remove, that's a good question. Let's remove the image styles and 3, 4. Let's get rid of this. I have a feeling I'm going to have to flush everything. Done and dusted. Okay, cool. Right. Now, if we go here, what is it? No, what is it? Image. Oh, I forgot. What is it? There is an image flush. Ah, that's it. If. Brush IF. All. All right. So now it's flushed. And now, if we come back here, that's fine. If we do a hard refresh, it's, I don't know. Cancel. All right, cool. And if we resize, okay, this is interesting. So which one's this? 1,000. So straight away you can see that the 1,000 without the compression, so without the AVIF compression, it's double the size, just under double the size. So it is 78 kilobytes for the 1,000, and the 700 with pixel is 63. If we come here, the 1,000 is 44 KB, and the other one, oh, okay, well, not that much, is just 40. So there you go. That's a good question. So you can see straight away, like, I guess the bigger the compression works a lot better, the bigger the image. Yeah, because you can kind of see like it's not that much of a savings here. And the smallest, so 512 is 35 KB. So it's not that much. So it does significantly save on space. Now, of course, locally, when you're thinking about, oh, what's 40K, it's not much. But if you have a high trafficked website and you're dealing with like terabytes and terabytes of bandwidth, if you can cut your like your image usage in half, that's massive. Like that's a big savings. You cut your bandwidth savings in half essentially, especially if you're using like S3 and things like that. So that's pretty cool. All right. So that's pretty much it. There you go. Handling and resizing images in a Drupal. So as I mentioned, let's just quickly go through it. Make sure you use the media module. Just use it. Don't even bother with anything else. Utilize image styles to resize images, and then the media library to embed images, and then you can resize things. And then if you want to resize and have full control over things, look at using Image Widget Crop and Focal Point. And no, you can't use both of them together. Then take a look at SVG Image for managing SVGs. And finally, take a look at using Image, what is it? Responsive Image. There we go. Responsive image styles to have nice responsive images. Anyway, let's leave it there. Just a quick, just another quick ad. Sorry, have to pay the bill somehow. Just remember, I do have this WebWash Premium community where you get access to forum. It's a bit slow going now, but I'm just slowly building it out and slowly uploading courses. Oh, sorry, uploading these live streams. And I am thinking of doing other things with it where if there's enough demand, I might do like a, let's say, for example, there's a particular live stream and then people are like, oh, I want some extra courses or some extra live streams. I'm thinking about then doing some extra ones based off what this community wants. And yeah, it's a great way to support the channel. And there are a bunch of courses already available here, and it's ad-free as well, so you don't get those the YouTube ads. Anyway, that is it from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to learn more about Drupal, head over to webwash.net. And also, if you have any questions, leave a comment. And if you have any ideas on any other things, just, yeah, let me know. I'm thinking of doing, I think I'm ready for an AI one, another one, because DrupalCon Vienna is coming around, which I was planning to go to, but I'm not, because none of my sessions got accepted. And I can't justify spending nearly 2,000 euros to go there out of pocket because I'll have to pay for myself. So unfortunately, maybe I'll do a Dries Notes live stream. Maybe I'll do that. Why not? Anyway, that is it from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Okay. Thank you for that question about yeah, looking at the usage, the network usage. That was an awesome comment, because yeah, I didn't know it was like going to be such a huge difference. Honestly, I did not know that. All right, what was that comment further above about adding in category field? Yeah, this one. So I tried to add a category field into the media pop-up, but failed terribly. Well, happens to all of us. And broke my media pop-up. Is there a way to add a filter to the media pop-up? I thought that was a view. Let me look at that right now. See, this is where, like, always at the end, this is where the real magic happens. All right. Thanks a lot. Good night. Take care. Thanks for joining. Thanks for all the comments. What's the time here? Ugh, been going for an hour and a half. But that is a good comment. Let's give that a go. Well, I'll stop the recording locally so I don't have epic storage issues like I normally have. All right, let's take a look. Where is that image? So if we take a look at here, no, not there. All right, so this pop-up. So is this not a view? All right. Image library. All right, so let's test this out. All right, let's create let's just add the tags field. Let's utilize the tags field on that. I'm going to probably blow my machine up. That's right. So come along in here. So let's imagine we're tagging it. Where is the entity reference? Tags. Oh, no. Can we add tags directly? Oh, no. No, reusable ones. No, we can't. We're fine. Whatevs. All right, cool. Tags. Let's add tags in. No, let's make it unlimited. Select vocab. We're done. All right, cool. And this one, we'll select tags, autocomplete tag style. Okay, done. Cool. So now if I come along in here, select plane, boat, and automobiles. Wasn't that a movie? Car. Oh, that's right. I forgot this. Create reference entities if they don't already exist. Plane, boat, car. Nice. Perfect. This one can be plane. I should have used robot. Okay. So now, now I want to filter by that, okay? So if I go into here, yeah, widget table. Then widgets. And then widget table. Why are there duplicates? So page widgets. All right, let's add in tags here. Add in tags, with tags. Yeah, just add as a drop down. That's fine. I just want to see if this actually works. Here's one. All right, comment. I have to finalize a contrib module, which is trying for now managing bulk upload of files and translate them directly based on their file name. Are you interested? Oh, interesting. So what? It bulk uploads them and then translates them. So what? Do you pass it a country like ISO, like an ISO value? Oh, nice. Yeah, there is it similar to media bulk upload, I believe. Is another module. We got that, move that up there. So now, does it use any AI stuff for uploading? For translating, sorry. That'd be pretty cool to look at. All right, let's go back here. Now, if I select this, yeah, why can't I see that? Why can I not see that? Table, which one is this? Okay. Sort by. Oh, okay. So that one's that one. And that one's, okay. All right. All right. Let's put it in here. Tags. Put a drop down. Let's expose it. That's fine. Oh, no, this does work. No, it does work. Then that's a different one. Oh, I'm not sure if that person's online. So in the chat, there was mention about adding in a drop down. This does seem to work. You do have to add it to different That does work. All right. What's that module? Let me check this out. Let me check out your contrib module. Oh, nice. Rides of view, yeah. Ah, yeah. Use the regex to figure out the language. Oh, very nice. Very nice. Let's take a look at the code. The validation. Okay, so there's a widget here. So does it use AI though? Like to actually do the translation? What does it, how does it? Translate. You have the constraints. That's pretty cool. Oh, that is pretty cool. Well, once you get it working, you should do a video on it. Be awesome to see this stuff. And then you have a constraint. Oh yeah, enabled languages. Nice. Good job. Regex. You gotta love regex. Regex everywhere. It was yeah, regex. One of those things. Never really got into it. I've tried to get my head around it. Anyway, thank you all for joining. Had great comments. Have to prepare next week's live stream. To figure out what I'm going to talk about. But just remember, yeah, just don't forget that there are a bunch of. Let me see if I can. Where is it? Under live. So if you go under live, let me bring this up. Yeah, so if you go under live on the WebWash YouTube channel, you will see that there's a lot of live streams here. No, all the way down. 7 years ago was my first one. Oof. So yeah, check it out. Check it out. Anyway, let's finish up. Have a great weekend, everyone, and catch you all next week. See ya.